Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Are you ready to rumble? Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome to
Welcome.
Pitchapalooza!
The 10th annual.
10th annual.
NaNoWriMo
That's a decade.
Pitchapalooza.
That's a 10th of a century.
It is.
Jumping
It is.
Jiminy.
So, we have some housekeeping to do.
Okay.
But first, we just want to
Yeah.
say,
We
know what a weird, crazy time this is.
Crazy time.
And we're hoping to give everybody a little bit of a respite.
Yes.
From everything that's going on in the world.
Yeah. And inside of your head.
And inside of your head.
That's the most important thing.
Exactly. Especially my head.
It's like, woo, woo, woo.
And we have so many great pitches.
Oh my God, we got good pitches
today.
A lot of good pitches.
And so many, look at all these great people here.
Nice.
Tell us where you're from.
Yeah.
So we know where people are in the world. We often have people from all over. I think, as you said, Antarctica is the only
That's the only continent that has not been heard of. And we are very upset with the writers of Antarctica. Why are they not here?
If you know anyone, let them know.
Let them know.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Exactly. Okay, so let's get the housekeeping out of the way.
Okay, so silence the ringer. Oh, now it's for us.
That's for us.
Did we silence our ringer?
We did.
Okay, good. All right. This webcast is part of NaNoWriMo's I Wrote a Novel. Now what? Months. So the link will appear in comments, and if you're watching a recording, it'll be in the notes. So that's us. Keep writing during Camp NaNoWriMo, which is in April. Camp NaNoWriMo in April. Keep writing. A recording will be available to view. Use the same URL you're using to watch live, or visit our YouTube channel, which everyone should subscribe to. Like and share. The chat box in the right sidebar is for chatting, because it's a chat box with other participants leaving questions. The live chat should, air quotes, be archived.
In addition to that, Christy, our brilliant social media guru, you can tag Christy for any questions during the NaNoWriMo Pitchapalooza.
Portland, Oregon in the house. Alberta, Canada. North Carolina.
You're interrupted. You can tag her at Christy Austin. You see her here. She has a little wrench by the side of her name, at least for us. And what I mean by questions is questions about technology and if you're having trouble, but also questions about the publishing process, because at the very end of the webinar, we will field some questions.
Yeah.
And if she's not tagged, it's going to be hard for her to keep track of all the ones that are happening.
Yeah. We've got a Texarkana.
And Christy is awesome. Yes.
Yes, Christy is awesome. South River, New Jersey. In the hizzle.
There was India, Canada, all kinds of...
Vancouver. Oh, we really want to do an event in Vancouver. I really want to go there.
Yeah, that's true.
There's so many writers we've never done. Pittsburgh, PA. Burlington.
Oh,
okay, Florida.
We got the heart of the coronavirus.
Oh,
pandemic. Well, we sincerely hope for you
and
that this is a good break and that you are healthy.
We're super glad that we're virtual. So that's... All right, wait a minute. The chat box. Sign into YouTube to chat. You can use a Google account to log in. If the video freezes, try refreshing your browser. The problem continues. Try closing other applications. If it continues, just give up. That's it. Just leave the business. If you have any tech troubles, email our web guru. How do you pronounce it? Guru? Mm-hmm. Or guru?
Guru.
At Christy at thebookdoctors.com. That's Kristi at thebookdoctors.com. Okay, explain how. Panel pitch publication. Okay, you do that.
I'm going to explain this. Okay, so we have randomly chosen 20 pitches to read today.
Out of the 20,000 pitches that came in.
Now, we did read, hundreds of pitches came in, and we read every single one of them. So every single person's pitch got read and cared for. We want you all to know that.
Yes.
But if all the hundreds of
if we read them all.
The whole time all of us are in whatever this is that we're doing where we can't leave our houses, we would be doing it for the rest of that time. So sadly, we can't do that. So we'll be reading the 20 pitches and giving comments on them as we read them.
Hawaii.
I know I saw a
And
few Hawaii.
two Australias, I think.
So at the very end of the Pitchapalooza, we will choose a winner. And by the way, we still don't know who the winner is. Because
we have not officially.
Decide.
No, there was a lot of good ones. We couldn't quite figure it out.
So,
but we will by the end of this.
By the end of this have someone has the same Yankees mug as you.
What? No way. Oh, and Arizona's in the hizzle.
Yeah. So that's how it's all going to work.
Bowling Green, Kentucky.
David will be reading
Nashville,
the pitches
Tennessee.
Because he is he was a professional actor for 20 years.
Yes.
Although he tends to read them very fast, so I'm going to remind you to slow down so people can hear them.
Listen, I get paid by the word, man. You gotta move. You gotta move it.
Oh my God, Eva's here.
Eva, that's yellow.
So
Oregon.
Let's not get distracted.
I want to read college.
Okay, okay, you can share pitch tips online using the hashtag NaNoWriMo, and you can tag us at the Book Doctors on Twitter and Facebook. I'll also say, we'll do that at the end. I'll say that, we're on Instagram because someone already took the Book Doctors by the time we got on there.
Yeah.
It's at _book_doctors. And you can, I think you said this, but why not say it again?
Subscribe.
We have weekly videos on how to get published that people do like.
Oh, and we are going to do a free webinar on March 19th for everybody in the whole wide world as a way of saying, we're going to help you get rid of your stay-at-home blues. You're locked in. We're going to be here for you on March 19th. Do a webinar, ask questions. We're going to just lay out the whole thing about how to get published.
It's really for anyone to ask any question whatsoever.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm wondering hang on, Christy wants us to say something.
Oh God. All right.
Okay. I see. These are just the actual questions that are coming in.
Oh, the questions are coming in already.
All right.
Okay. What else?
I think that is it. And we are going to start reading the pitches. Number 1.
Numero uno. Usually this is where everyone is super nervous in the room because they don't know who's going to get called. But you don't need to be nervous now because you don't know. All right. Chain Linked is a 77,300-word cozy mystery with romance and tinges of Southern humor. Anne Callahan is blown off her trail bike when a houseboat explodes, killing a security contractor. Then a friend is charged with murder. Anna comes home to Moccasin Cove to turn around her childhood elementary school, I'm assuming that is. While she knows a thing or two about flipping failing schools, she soon discovers the learning curve on solving a murder is steep. As Anna performs triage on the troubled school and chases clues to the murder, she finds herself suffering fools in a nightmare of bad press and amateur local politics. After a suspect charter school corporation targets her school for a takeover, she teams up with the school district's disarming security chief to solve the crime. The losses pile up: her friend's innocence, her career, the school, and possibly her heart. In the end, a vindictive killer forces Anna to admit she has a lot to learn about murder. Set in an industrial beach town in Florida's Gulf Coast, Chain Linked, because it's got an exclamation point, tests the bonds of loyalty among friends, pits unyielding grief of lost love against a reawakened heart, and, of course, murder. My stint as a bikini model peaked in kindergarten. My fallback career as a mystery writer didn't hit in until I hit the mid-century mark. 30 years in between, I wrangled children, adults, a Florida panther, and gators, and snakes as teacher and school administrator. Don't ask me about my work with the U.S. Secret Service. I'm sworn to secrecy.
So fun.
It's a really fun pitch. It's got so much cool stuff in it. And I love that she's a school teacher in a thriller. We don't see that often.
I know.
I love that.
I don't know if she's a school teacher or administrator, and that's one tiny detail that I wanted to flag because we don't actually know what she is, and
she's
that
there
would be
to
helpful.
turn the school around.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm going to start at the end because that bio is so funny.
It's so great. That's an example of a bio, everybody.
Oh my gosh.
If you don't have a lot of writing credits, my stint as a bikini model, and you're like, wait, what a minute?
Right.
Peaked in kindergarten. It's really a funny setup punchline.
And
kaboom.
It shows you that the person knows how to write humor and that the book is going to be funny.
Yes.
And I also love the school setting.
Yes.
And I think there's if you count the number of teachers and school administrators out there, you've got a fabulous core audience.
Yes, you do.
And I think the pitch is set up really well.
I do too. There's really some fun writing as Anne performs triage on the troubled school. That's a wonderful use of that word that's totally unexpected and makes me see you know how to sling words around. Okay, lot to love about it. The setting, the beginning starts off in an explosion, a death. So how do we make it better? Okay, now to me, I would make that first sentence more, for want of a better word, explosive. Because you say a houseboat explodes, but we don't see we don't hear the crash, the bang. We should see it through her eyes. There's a plume of fire and a resounding crashing sound. So what is a very exciting moment flattens out just a little bit. I also don't quite get enough of the actual story. Like, I get that things go wrong, she's taken over the school, but the whole machinations of the murder are a little unclear to me. They tend to be a little generic, the descriptions of what the actual plot is going to be, some of the twists in that.
Yeah, the two things that I would say, then a friend is charged with the murder. The friend is a key part of this story, and we don't get much of a sense of who the friend is.
No.
So even there, it's a chance to just put a quick descriptor, tiny little things, and of Anna as well.
I don't know what she looks like. I don't know how old she is. Where is she in your life? Because if you're moving back home when you're in your late 20s, it's different than your early 40s. So I don't know where she is, and as her biological clock is ticking, and I need more, I feel like, about her. I like her pretty well, but I haven't quite fallen in love with her.
And there's
yet.
certain things that I'm sure the author is saying, yeah, but I have no more room to do this. So phrases like, she soon discovers the learning curve on solving a murder is steep, that really doesn't tell us much of anything. That's the kind of clause you can get rid of and replace with something more specific
and concrete.
Overall, this is a pitch that is close.
Yeah.
And
and it shows me that person's a good writer.
Definitely.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Numero 2. Serenity's Fire, the story of a Mandalorian legend by Ewan Power. Mandalorian. Serenity Rin Gristine tentatively considers herself one, but she was rejected from the creed when she tried to run away from her own destiny, when she tried to be a coward. After her attempted escape from her own planet, she was exiled forever. Mandalorians do not run, they told her, especially from themselves. They stand firm and fight until every last ounce of strength is exhausted. Bounty hunter. That's what Rin is now. Out of guilt, she picked up the Mandalorian's customs again, hiding her face under a helmet that is never supposed to be taken off in front of a living being, and carrying Mandalorian weapons that she purchased in the black market. She lives as the Mandalorian she might never be. Companion. Rin becomes a friend to someone for the first time when she meets a former stormtrooper named Nate. Relieved to finally confide in someone after years of brutal loneliness, Nate's kindness and candor win her over, and Rin's gritty warrior's heart is softened by love. Assassin. Soon, Rin is given the hardest mission she has ever received. Orders to assassinate the most dangerous murderer in the universe. A killer who ravaged whole civilizations, leaving wildfires of destruction in the wake of her rabid rage for power. Will Rin prove herself to be the Mandalorians and become one of them again? Will she shatter under the burden bearing down on her shoulders, threatening to crush her? Or will she give everything up for love?
So there's a nice framing.
Framing device
that goes from Mandalorian, bounty hunter, companion, assassin, which kind of shows us the arc of the story.
The character arc in a really
in just single phrases.
In a way that you don't
words.
have to say, here's the character arc.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was nice.
And it's original. I haven't seen
it either. It's really
before. So
nice.
I thought that was really, really nicely done. We definitely, the plot and arc are developed well here. And then we also get a sense of the love interest, which we need to, because this is a love story as well.
Yes. Yeah. I am confused. I thought the Mandalorians, isn't there was a television show on Disney called The Mandalorians. Is this fan fiction? I mean, do you own the Mandalorian? Can you use the Mandalorians, or do they own that? I don't know the background of that, but it makes me suspicious. Did it seem long to you?
It did seem long. We did check on word counts.
It was 250 words.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, I think part of the reason that it felt longer than normal is that everything is well constructed, but I didn't feel my heart particularly pounding. And I think that this is something that happens a lot. A pitch can be very well constructed, but not make you feel something.
Yeah, that's probably what it
is. And that's the next step for this pitch, is to get us to feel more for this character. And that comes from giving us more of a sense of, instead of just what her history is, what she is actually like. Yeah,
because like this paragraph, relieved to finally confide in someone after years of brutal loneliness, Nate's kindness and candor win her over. I hear all of it. It all makes sense to me, but I don't see a piece of action. It would be better if there was a piece of action that showed him being kind and being having candor with her, rather than you telling us that. It's a lot to ask, I know, but it didn't activate my heart. I'm with you in a way that it needed to, and I don't. Again, I like this character, but I haven't really fallen in love with her. And also, I don't know how old she is or what she looks like. I don't have a picture of her in my head. I know she wears a helmet around all the time, but still, it would be good. It's always good for us to be able to visualize the character in our head. It helps us bond in the heart.
Yeah.
Also, Star Wars is a closed universe. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Operation Polar Revenge by Tara Arielle. Ever since his conservationist parents were mauled to death by a polar bear, Andrew's grief has frozen his heart into a block of Arctic ice. Since that time, he and his younger brother Stephen have been raised by their feisty southern grandma, a.k.a. the Great G. Both brothers traveled different paths as they navigated the agony of their loss. And now, 17-year-old Andrew is back up in the Churchill, Canada region under the guise of continuing the noble work of his parents through a high school mentorship program. But while average high school juniors have been taking classes, scouting out colleges and binge-watching the latest shows on Netflix, Andrew has been developing a dark plan to avenge the untimely death of his parents. When his first attempt at vengeance results in a narrow escape from an enraged polar bear, Andrew inadvertently lets news of his close call slip while on the phone to his family. Madder than a cat getting baptized. More like that. Andrew's grandma stops everything and makes arrangements for her and Stephen to join Andrew in Canada, unknowingly shattering Andrew's secret plans. But Andrew isn't the only one at the Conservation Center who's been conspiring to pull off something unscrupulous. Soon after his family arrives, they're pulled into a dangerous set of circumstances that leaves them with little chance of survival in a ruthless environment surrounded by merciless criminals. In this Stuart Gibbs Spy School series meets National Geographic mashup, will Andrew's hardened heart thaw in time to save those he loves?
There's so many things that are so interesting. The fact that his conservationist parents were mauled to death by a polar bear.
I've read 20,000 pitches. I've never heard that, even something even remotely close to that.
Yeah, and the great G. Yeah. I love that kind of detail, and that it's going up to Churchill, Canada. Yeah. So at good comp titles at the end. Yeah. It's really, really interesting. For me, the thing that is missing is Andrew is our hero, and he sounds kind of awful. And I'm not having empathy for this
rooting
character.
For him to succeed at something.
Exactly. And so I understand that he's angry, and that makes sense. But we also have to understand what is good about or interesting or something about him.
Is he trying to save the world from global warming? I mean, that would make me love him a little bit, at least, right? Yeah. So I also objected to the phrase two phrases, ruthless environment, merciless criminals. I mean, merciless criminals, I didn't really send shivers up my spine. There have been so many merciless criminals in so many stories throughout the history of the world. You know, get in line. What's different and unusual and unique about your merciless criminals that we haven't seen before? And for some place that has a ruthless environment, I don't really see any interesting world building, anybody freezing to death, or I don't see that great, in Jack London, there's, nature is a force that is going to kill you. And I never, even though you tell me that, I don't ever feel it from this.
Yeah. But it's a great setting. It's a fantastic setting. It sounds like there's really cool family stuff going on here. This is fantastic. Yes. Okay, I have to say one thing.
All right.
I'm looking at the comments. The Mandalorian story was written by a 12-year-old.
What? No, if it's a 12-year-old, it's the most amazing pitch I ever read.
That is so
that
awesome.
Explains so much. A 12-year-old made this beautiful construction. A 12-year-old genius.
So...
Well, that gets special
inspiration
mention right there.
For everybody, right? Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Holy bajoli. Well, hold on. Is that really true?
Yes.
Well, that's impressive. 12?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I think about what I was doing at 12,
we have a 12-year-old, by the way, so we really know what it means to write that effectively. Okay.
Game 7, Fight to the Finish, by James Trettick. Trettick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. No one ever dreamed they would be there, except the players and a boy at heart. 11-year-old Jimmy couldn't believe his watering eyes. It was the fall of 1971, the last inning of the last game his beloved Washington Senators would ever play, ruined by unruly fans and a forfeit to the damn Yankees. Yeah. Jimmy thought baseball was over for him, except for scouts and co-rec. But in 2005, Montreal couldn't support a major league team, and suddenly the nation's pastime returned to the nation's capital. Jim was 45 by then, but felt like a kid again. The 2019 season, however, seemed to be over before it started. 8 weeks into the season, the Nats were 19-31 with a slew of injuries to starting players. Then, on May 24th, the unexpected happened. A renewal or a revival. The rallying cry for Scherzer and Strasburg, Turner and Soto, Randon, and the rest became go 1-0 today. That's words to live by. Riding the best team record over the last two-thirds of the season, the Nationals stormed into and through the playoffs. Luck won the first game and perseverance took the rest. Part game recap, Part gut reaction, Game 7 will live in the hearts of National fans for eternity. Climb aboard the bandwagon once again as DC area native James Tredick takes us back to October 2019 as we relive the tales as the Nationals finish the fight.
I'm going to let you take this one, my friend.
Well, we're dark. As a
That's why I'm
baseball fan, I think this is great. I really like it. I know what it's like to be attached to a team and to feel a kind of loss. So it's a naturally inspiring story. It's going to have a built-in audience. I mean, you should be able to sell this book at the Nationals baseball stadium until the end of time. This book should be sold there.
Yeah.
If you could just get it placed there, honestly, you could almost self-publish it if you had a way to get it into the stadium, and you would make a ton of money, and then the publishers would come running to you if you had a way of getting it in to the National Stadium. All right, so how do I make this better? I feel like a casual person doesn't know the deep resonance that a baseball team has on an 11-year-old or a 45-year-old for that matter. So I might go into more of that feeling of having your heart ripped out of your chest, thrown to the ground, spit on, and then stomped on by the lords of corpocracy. Because it hurts. It just hurts. And I know the pain. I feel it. So I would maybe do that. And, we don't really even need to know that Montreal, I mean, it doesn't really matter in the story how because you need more time in this pitch, how the new team got here, just that they're here and like felt like a kid again. I want more in that moment. It's not just feeling like a kid again. It's feeling like hope springs eternal. The World Series is within our grasp. What I once thought had died within me has bloomed like a phoenix rising from the grave. I want more of that emotion in there because this is a love story, and I don't get enough of those tingly feelings of love and the terrible feelings of betrayal. And then when it comes back, and I also would like to see have the feeling of the roller coaster where you're at a single elimination at a certain point, one game and you're done. And it looks like they can't possibly succeed. Oh, well, I guess we lost again. Wait a minute. Hold on. Check a boom. So that kind of roller coaster that we go on as we go to the World Series, I would like to have a little bit more of that. If you're going to pitch this as part game repack. Repack. I said that the first time too. Recap. And part gut reaction. We need to see more gut reaction, and we need to see more recap. Because you haven't, for me, displayed that you're going to be great at doing that, which I have a feeling that you are.
Here's my one comment, because obviously David could probably keep talking about that for about 10 years.
I have a lot more to say about it.
My thing as a publishing person that I want to know is there a comparable book that is part recap, part gut reaction? Like that doesn't sound like something.
Well, isn't the Boys of Summer like that? One of the most famous.
Maybe. I haven't read it. Have you?
Yeah.
Okay, well then that should be in here because it's a great comp title.
And there you have it.
And there you have it.
But well done.
Don't forget Lori.
Oh, sorry. And it also could be a documentary. I don't know if someone hasn't done that yet. The book. Okay. The Last Thing She Thought. Great title.
Nice title.
By Laurie Feldman. Rachel Chambers is a white single mother who spent the last 18 years focused on only one thing, raising her biracial son, Eli. At 18, he's killed during a police encounter, leaving Rachel unmoored and barely able to function. After receiving Eli's battered cell phone from the pathologist, she discovers he has a secret girlfriend, Jamira. Developing a relationship with her gives Rachel the opportunity to learn more about her son and feels like a meaningful way to keep him alive in her heart and in her mind. Jamira introduces Rachel to the Black Lives Matter movement and pushes her to insist on a fair investigation. Though Rachel struggles with acceptance into the group, eventually her new allies help her to engage with the police commission to hold her son's killer accountable. She begins a romantic relationship with a BLM member, allowing her to envision a fulfilling future until she is reminded that justice is elusive. Rachel is then faced with a cruel choice: abandon her quest and invest in a life without Eli, or go outside the system to hold law enforcement responsible. She decides she must sacrifice her own life in order to hold the policeman responsible for her son's death to account. Rachel's solution is to detonate a suicide vest at the police station with Eli's killers in the room. Woo-wee.
This is such a of the moment topic. Powerful. And really makes you feel something so strongly. And I think this is amazing, amazing fodder for a book. I think it's very beautifully told.
Yeah.
And this is such a small thing, but will make a huge difference. We do not want to know what happens at the end of this book. That's a summary, which is distinct from a pitch. So unless her detonating the suicide vest comes only 2/3 of the way through, but I'm assuming that our main character is going to be dead.
Well, it's unclear to me. Her solution is to detonate the suicide vest. Does she actually detonate it?
Okay, but still, I guess the question is, how far into the book does that take us?
Right.
If it takes us to the very close to the end, you should stop it before then.
I mean, to me, it should stop as she's about to enter the building, the police building. She's got the vest on.
But what if that's the last page of the novel? The pitch never goes that far.
Yeah, but it's such a cliffhanger. If she's standing outside there strapped in a suicide vest, we don't know whether she goes in and kills herself in the whole squad room or not. There's an ending.
Here's an interesting thing that we actually have a video about called For Submission Purposes Only, right. Which is that for submitting a pitch like this to an agent or publisher, you may want to go up to the most suspenseful moment of the book. Yes. Even though on the back of a book or description of a book, you wouldn't actually go that far. You wouldn't give away the book in that way. So, yeah.
It's not clear to me whether she actually detonates the thing.
Yes.
And that's also problematic. I mean, it's not good to leave on a confusing note at the end. I'm confused by it as opposed to being, oh my God, what happens next? I'm more like, what? Did she do this right? Is there something wrong here?
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. I think the pitch is fantastic.
It is.
But our job is to make it better. The other thing it's weird because the beginning of the pitch, at 18, he's killed during a police encounter, leaving Rachel unmoored. I feel like that gets a little bit short shrift. I want to see what happens if it's in the book, so that I feel it in my heart. It's like two different ideas are crammed into one sentence, and they're both huge ideas. At 18, he's killed during a police encounter. That's one idea. Rachel is unmoored and barely able to function. That's a very different idea, and they both deserve their own sentences being unpacked a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Great.
7 Seconds. 7 Seconds, the television show with Regina King, is a great comp for this. What's the story? Oh God, the novel that was made into a movie. The Hate You Give.
Oh,
The Hate You Give.
Right.
Okay. American Fledgling by Kirkley Mendirata. I guess that the best way to tell you my story is to tell you how I came up with the idea for it. I was inspired by Benjamin Franklin's famous quote about liberty and safety. He said that if you trade liberty for a measure of safety, you end up with neither. What if this idea came out of a little-known adventure that Benjamin Franklin experienced well before he became a founding father? My 80,000-word middle-grade novel, American Fledgling, is an alternative history with fantastical elements. On the night of his kite and key experiment, a witch turns Benjamin Franklin into a turkey. That's a turkey. Benjamin Franklin has until Thanksgiving Day to get the presidential pardon to break the spell. The future of American democracy hangs in the balance. Gobble, gobble. That was mine. Gobble,
Yes.
Gobble is not in the pitch. American Fledgling is ultimately a story about the fragility of democracy and the power one can have, for good or for evil.
Ill.
For good or for ill, to shape the course of history.
This is hilarious.
I've never heard this one before. This is like, is a comparable title. What's his name's the cockroach?
Metamorphosis.
Kafka. Metamorphosis meets.
There you go.
Meets something.
Okay, so this is so funny and
so
quirky and odd.
Weird.
In terms of the pitch itself, I just want to start with the top. I guess that the best way to tell you my story is to tell you how I came up with the idea for it. That isn't the best way.
That's one of the worst ways.
Yeah. So I love the Benjamin Franklin quote. I would just start with the quote. Boom. It's such a great quote.
It's a great quote.
And then forget about what if this idea came out of a little known adventure. We don't need the what ifs.
No.
Get us into the story. Tell us, take us there.
Yes.
Benjamin Franklin.
Tell us the story.
On the night he's doing his kite experiment, a witch turns him into a turkey. So after the quote, that's what should happen. And then we need to get some sense of the arc of this story. We don't actually know why this book is about the fragility of democracy and the power one can have. Instead of telling us that, demonstrate it through the pitch.
I want to know what it's like to be a founding father and all of a sudden you're walking around like a flightless bird. What is it like? What does it feel like? He tries to flap his wings. He can't fly. He tries to talk. It comes out gobble, gobble. He's got a terrible waddle under his neck. It's an interesting premise, but you don't display how you're going to make this work for us in this pitch. And if I'm an editor or an agent, I'm like, this is so cool, but how is this going to manifest? Do you have the skills and the chops to make me believe and spend a bunch of 80,000 words of my life with Benjamin Franklin as a turkey?
Exactly. All right.
A Cold Night for Alligators by Viggy Parhampton. After getting passed over for a promotion yet again, Dr. Archibald Gruber, a seasoned epidemiologist with the CDC, mon Dieu, is ready to do whatever it takes to earn what he deserves, even if it means putting himself in danger. His opportunity to prove his worth arises when the CDC team dispatched to solve a mysterious outbreak in nearby Savannah comes back puzzled and empty-handed. Throwing his usual sense of risk aversion to the wayside, Gruber decides to go rogue and travel to Savannah to solve the outbreak himself. When his investigation team leads him to the sinister, long-abandoned theme park Gully Washers of Georgia, Dr. Gruber crosses paths with Sid and Zeb Barkov, a pair of YouTuber brothers intent on filming their exploration escapades inside the notoriously creepy park. Unfortunately for all, a paranoid drug dealer has made the old park her center of enterprises, and she's managed to awaken the unquiet, hungry forces that call the park home. Inspired by the author's real-life work as a botulism epidemiologist at the CDC, A Cold Night for Alligators is his science-speckled horror debut that showcases the disastrous consequences that can arrive when you mess with things you don't understand. My God, that's a timely.
Oh my gosh. And obviously Viggy has the chops, the expertise to talk about this. I love this last line, the disastrous consequences that can arise when we mess with things we don't understand. That's like such a great tagline for the book, right?
Yes.
So here's the thing.
And I love the science speckled
horror. Yeah.
Like for you guys, I've never seen science speckled before. And I've read 25,000 pitches now. So I said this yesterday in this video we made. How do you make a great pitch? Show me something I haven't seen yet. So don't trot out the same cliches with these dangerous and blah, blah, blah. Show me something original. And that is an example of it.
Now, here's my number one thing about this pitch.
Yeah.
The horror and the danger is not really to be found in the pitch itself. I'm not going, don't go in there. And we really, really need that.
We do.
So it's such an interesting idea. We don't know how this disease is manifesting itself, why it's such a risk. And the drug dealer, I'm kind of like, why, who, what do we need? Why is that person so important that they made it into the pitch? Because it doesn't.
A paranoid drug dealer is almost redundant to begin with, because almost every drug dealer I've known, and I've frankly known a few of them, just for research purposes purely, they've all had their moments of paranoia. Oh my God, they're coming to get me. What's that? I mean, that doesn't seem unusual. It doesn't seem interesting. It doesn't seem. Doesn't send a chill running down my spine. And then the unquiet, hungry forces. Well, my daughter is an unquiet, hungry force pretty much all the time, and she's a 12-year-old girl. So it doesn't send a chill. I need to see what's different about your horror that we haven't seen yet. So lots of great stuff in this, and lots of room for improvement. But I feel like it's super timely.
Oh my gosh. And the credentials make such a huge difference. So that is fantastic.
Well done.
All right.
West by L.J. Farrow. Weston wears low-top Converse sneakers, loves Fallout Boy and Muse, and never met an Oreo Blizzard he didn't like. He never lets these idiosyncrasies get in the way of his day job as an exorcist. And whenever he looks in the mirror, he sees the devil looking back at him. Well, so do I. For Father Weston is no ordinary priest. He's the half-demon child of a revivalist minister corrupted by the morning star, a diabolical being and the architect of all that is evil in the world. Weston's ability to attract demons is useful to the Catholic Church. Will it also provide a pathway for the morning star to carry out the ultimate destruction? From a trailer park in the bayou of Louisiana to the libraries of the Vatican, Weston endures the knowledge of his own profane inheritance while struggling to overcome it. It is never clear which battle is worst, the one against the demons within himself or the one against those that occupy the innocent. Weston's future seems predestined, but is it? In this genre-bending story that blends fantasy and dark fairy tale, Constantine meets Pride and Prejudice and zombies in an apocalyptic metaphor about what it means to be human and the enduring power of, wait for it, redemption.
I find this pitch so interesting.
It has a lot of cool specificities about it.
And also, it starts out so normal. Low-top Converse.
Fallout Boy.
Loves an Oreo Blizzard. He sounds like the most normal.
But it's great because I can see the Oreo Blizzard,
Yeah.
And for everybody, there's just such specific things. We have this thing we say about John Prine, the songwriter. She don't like her eggs all runny. Like that, it's just those little tiny details make the character come to life immediately.
Absolutely. And then we get this twist that looks in the mirror and sees the devil looking back. And then we get to the Catholic Church, useful to the Catholic Church. Right. That was so interesting to me. And that we go from a trailer park in the bayou to the libraries of the Vatican, and then fantastic comp titles. Yeah, right. So I was very interested.
Yes, totally interested. Yes, absolutely. Now, I didn't see Pride and Prejudice. Where's
Pride and Prejudice and Zombie?
I know, but it's still, Pride and Prejudice.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's a million zombie things. If it's just a zombie thing, why is it Pride and Prejudice? I don't see any sort of
I guess because it's taking a classic tale and doing a zombie twist. And this is the person is saying that it's part fairy tale fantasy. So in that way, they're fooling.
But what specifically is this story?
I don't know.
Like Pride and Prejudice with zombies is parodying Pride and Prejudice with zombies. What is this story parodying in that way?
I think that's a good question.
And are we rooting for the Catholic Church?
No.
Okay, we're not rooting for the Catholic Church.
The Weston's ability to attract demons is useful to the Catholic Church. I mean, this is the evil world. Yeah.
That was unclear to me. Okay. All right. Now, the diabolical being, an architect of all that is evil, I don't understand what it is. I don't see it. I don't smell it. I don't hear it. I don't know how it operates. How is its evil? How does its evil manifest in a way that I haven't seen evil manifest before? What's new and unique and original about it? What makes me shudder? I don't shudder, again, when I read this. Just saying something's the most evil thing in the world is different than saying he's a guy who likes to eat someone's liver with a glass of Chianti. Now that sends a shiver down me.
Agreed.
Oh, West, and then Spirited to the West by Pauline Chow. Modern life collides with spirits from the 1860s frontier Western.
Western frontier.
Modern life collides with spirits from the 1960s.
1860s. Do I need to take
a... Slap me. Oh, jeez. Modern life collides with spirits from the 1860s Western frontier. When a dormant evil awakens during an investigation into a family's past in this contemporary ghost story with a historical Western twist. Freya discovers that her ancestors' immigration story is a mystery that she must solve. Over 2 generations ago, Freya's relatives, the Locke sisters, arrived in the United States during the California gold rush in search of freedom and opportunity. Their lives, however, are changed by chance and discrimination they faced in the New World. As Freya digs into her family history, she connects with the spirits of the Locke sisters just when she needs them the most. Freya, who is a new mother and estranged from her parents, finds deep meaning in the search for answers. She weaves through digital archives, antique books, and California ghost towns looking for clues. Freya's metaphysical powers and connection with the sisters transports her to the boom towns in the 1860s, like Bodie and Diamond Springs. In another time, she bears witness to death, murder, and frontier justice. The sisters stand against injustice and tangle their bloodlines with a depraved gang of outlaws. Now Freya must work with the spirits of her ancestors to save her daughter and husband from the wrath of the past. Spirited to the West is Joy Luck Club meets Stephen King's Bag of Bones with a splash of Blood Meridian. Paula Chow, the author, is Chinese-American and a former lawyer and civil rights activist. I love these stories with the West. I have to say, I'm a sucker for them, and I'm not the only one. And I love that this is female-centered. There was just a really cool female-centered Western. I believe it was on Netflix or somewhere. That was really that I enjoyed very much. So this kind of thing now is sort of it's possible in a way that it wasn't 5 years ago. So you're in the right place at the right time.
Okay, so for me, I also love this. I love the genealogy part of it too. That this person in contemporary time is going back through the family.
I enjoyed that.
There are 2 things that are missing for me from this pitch. The first is that it's an immigration story, but we don't see what these relatives faced as immigrants. I'm assuming since you used the Joy Luck Club that they were Chinese immigrants. So what was that experience like? Coming to the United States in the gold rush, we don't get to feel that.
And Freya Locke is
the Locke sisters.
I mean, those are her ancestors. They do not sound like
they might have changed their name as
But I'm saying we don't know that.
We don't know.
It's because of course there was a tremendous workforce in the West consisting of Chinese. I think they called them coolies or something. That were outrageously abused and done terrible things were done to them. And I'm interested in exploring that. And I think that is a fascinating subject for a book at this moment in history.
Absolutely fascinating.
But it's not clear.
And the second piece of it is, what are the reverberations of that to her in contemporary times? Because we know she has a kid and a husband, but we don't really know why she's going on this search. And we find out at the end that the consequences are that she has to save them, but save them from what and why. So I think that at the root of this is such an interesting combination of stories. And it's very hard to get two stories into one pitch. It's a difficult thing to do. But small details that give us a sense of what these sisters were up against, which from the little that I know of gold rush history and Chinese immigrants, as David said, was very, very difficult. I have a relative in my own family whose parents, or great-great-grandparents came at that time. And it was very treacherous. No,
beyond treacherous is not even the right word. I mean, they were indentured, they were enslaved. It was a terrible, terrible time. And they were, there was the Native Americans, like the Chinese were like this far, but they, white people thought they were animals, And so, and when you do combine, I think you're right, there's just too much stuff in here, because by the time we get to the outlaws, they're described as a depraved gang of outlaws. Like that doesn't even, I don't even see how that's different than all the other. Depraved is a word that doesn't, again, send a chill down me. She bears witness to death, murder, and frontier justice. Well, that could be anything, any kind of death, any kind of this. The specificity is utterly gone by the time we get there, and it doesn't serve.
Right. I think the comp titles are very interesting to put those two things together.
I love it. They're great comp titles.
So I think that's a great
3 things.
It ends, and also I think this is a case for people to know. Putting in that you're a former lawyer and civil rights activist is also just a very interesting detail that makes people interested in who you are.
I would like a little something twist on the end. It's such a great setup for some kind of joke. Lawyer, civil rights activist, and something fun.
Right. All right.
Overcast by R.H. Tyrell. Dyson Vadas is back for senior year, and Leia Valerius is fuming because Dyson is dangerous. Leia has not forgotten the attack on Kay in 8th grade. Without enough evidence to convict, charges were dropped and Kay's parents moved her across the country. Dyson's elusive parents moved him too, but now Dyson is back, charming the student body with his half-mouthed smile. Dyson, who never eats, never tires, and always smells strongly of sunscreen. And now Leia is stuck with Dyson in not 1 or 2, but 3 classes. To Leia's dismay and against her protests, Dyson keeps inserting himself back into her life. Armed with rage, determination, and her best friend Venus, Leia struggles to find the courage to stand up to Dyson and prove Dyson is more than what he seems. Midwestern public school can be the 9th circle of hell or a funky pop song experience, depending on the people. Growing up in the early 2000s and frustrated by society's social justice, I craved a story where the monster, literally and figuratively, is not given any sympathy or romantic musings from the heroine.
I think this is really a terrific high stakes plot.
Yeah.
Where you have a bad kid, they finally got rid of him, and now he's back.
Yeah.
And he's clearly pursuing this our main character.
Yeah.
And
it's very 13 Reasons.
Yeah, and it's very there's some really nice detail in here. The sunscreen, the smelling strongly of sunscreen, that's great, fantastic writing. It is not ominous enough, because actually when I first read this pitch a while ago, I thought maybe it was a romance that I didn't understand. I knew at the beginning he was bad, but then he seems back and maybe like he likes her, but he's actually a horrible person and she wants to get revenge. Yeah. And that sense of revenge, you don't get it until you actually tell us. Right. I craved a story. You, the author, craved a story where the monster literally and figuratively is not given any sympathy. But that is not shown.
No, it's not. And it's not played out in a plot of what she's going to do to get him and how it's going to backfire on her. There needs to be a couple of scenes of action that show the plot unfolding and what she's going to do and how wrong it's going to go and leave us where it seems like she's the one that's going to be punished once again by the monster. And we go, wait a minute, that can't be right. What happens next?
Yeah.
Oh, a little bit of Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson. Yeah, as a comp title. Yeah, that's an interesting choice also. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I actually have that sitting on my night table and I have not read it yet.
I want to read that. Thank you
for reminding me.
She is amazing. The Color of Trauma, which I think is a great title, by Holly Smurthwaite. The Color of Trauma, a supernatural suspense novel, is complete at 99,000 words. The book will appeal to readers who enjoy the style and voice of Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine, and the pacing and genre combining of Kelly Armstrong. Kira Braley is a professional memory reader. Experiencing people's traumatic memories makes normality impossible, but she's hoping for functional, or maybe normal adjacent. Dean Matheson, a Chicago homicide detective, is troubled by his talent for understanding the worst of humanity, but he doesn't have time for introspection. He's hunting a serial killer. At a dead end, he attempts to recruit a memory reader. Kira can't believe that what Dean is asking. Only an idiot would peek into a coma patient's vicious assault memory. Kira, it turns out, is an idiot. But Dean doesn't see her that way. Breaking down their boundaries, Kira and Dean find themselves in an intense affair, but neither is sure they are worthy of love, and both wonder how broken is too broken. As the pair struggles, the killer discovers Kira's involvement, makes it a race to find the killer before. As the pair struggles, the killer discovers Kira's involvement, making it a race to find the killer before he finds Kira.
There's so many great little
There's
phrases
lots of great
in here.
stuff in this pitch, man.
I love she's hoping for functional or maybe normal adjacent. That really is just excellent.
Yeah.
And it has all the right pacing.
It does, and
everything.
The memory reader. It's such a great phrase. And you get what it is, even though you don't have to spell it out in an expository way, which is great, because you actually show us how it's going to be used to peek into a coma patient's vicious assault memory, like that. So I kind of see how it's going to work by a piece of action that you put into here.
Okay, we're getting a question. We made a huge mistake. We have not explained comp title.
Wow.
I know. Not good.
Wow. I thought everybody knew about that.
Come on. Okay. Comp titles, short for comparative titles, are titles that give you a sales handle for your book so people like this can know what other books are like your own book. And they are extremely important in this business. From the very beginning of the process of querying to when a book is in a bookstore, so that a bookseller can say, oh, did you read Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine? Because then you might like The Color of Trauma. So comp titles are a very important part of pitches. Now, that's it. First of all, we have at least one video on comp titles. Yeah. So we're not going to go into an entire thing, but we will be talking about it throughout the Pitchapalooza. But interestingly, this excellent pitch starts with the most boring information, which is the word count and the comp titles.
Put it at the end.
So we far prefer for these things to be at the end and not at the beginning, because it would be so much more exciting to start with Kira Brawley as a professional memory reader. Experienced people's traumatic memory makes normality impossible, but she's just hoping for functional.
You know, as you're reading this again, it might be interesting to experiencing people's traumatic memories like A, B, and C, so we get to see some of the things that she has to absorb, so that it sort of comes to life a little bit more.
That's a nice idea.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we see what she's up against, like she has to absorb being smashed over the head with a brick and being, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And then they find themselves in this intense affair, but neither are sure they are worthy of love, and both wonder how broken. I like the line, and both wonder how broken is broken, but neither is sure they are worthy of love. Seems a bit cliched to me, and I think that based on what we're seeing here, you definitely can take that up a notch.
You set the bar higher already.
Yeah.
You're a better writer than that. It's very clear.
Yeah.
An intense affair. It doesn't really make me feel all sexy inside.
Nope.
To see those words, I would like to see.
Will you hit that light
a little?
Because we're starting to lose light.
I would like to see, a little more of the sexiness, the romance, whatever of that. Well done.
Okay.
Doctor of Doctors by Lali Pia. With a chisel and a scalpel, I can remove a human head within 40 seconds. That's a great opening line. 3 years into my practice of this macabre craft, I checked out this dead-end job, applied to medical school, and became a psychiatrist. The heads I work with now talk back to me. A mixed blessing at times. My memoir, Doctor of Doctors, is a 90,000-word cultural adventure through 4 continents. It follows the path of an immigrant whose journey is besieged with setbacks. A bungled U.S. green card application separated me from my family. When medical school closed due to political turmoil, the timing could not have been worse. I was forced to leave Ghana and placed in limbo for 2 years. Later, single motherhood sent me on a sojourn into the depths of the welfare system. This far from rosy start to my life as a naturalized American citizen made me highly skeptical of the prophecy of a Sri Lankan fortune teller who told my dad that I would become a physician one day. I hope to inspire other young adults who have wanted to give up when life gets dark. Over 20,000 people online have already viewed my interview of a day in the life of a psychiatrist, and I believe they will be motivated and entertained by the path that led me there. It will also hopefully be a blast into the concept that our country needs yet another wall.
This is such a great start to a pitch.
Yeah, it really is.
It is fantastic. And it's just so specific.
Yes.
And wonderful.
I'm trying to think if I could remove a human head with a chisel.
I'm sure you could not. I
think I could get it off, but I don't think I could do it in 40 seconds. No way.
So what's interesting is because of the title and because of that first paragraph, what comes next, I didn't expect at all because it's all pre-doctor stuff. Yes. And it is all fascinating information and an incredible journey that you have had. But the question is, in pitching a book, are you accurately describing what the book is? So is this about everything up to becoming a doctor, or is part of becoming a doctor this? I mean, it says when medical schools close, so I guess that's part of it. I'm just a little confused.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but to me, what I got out of it was that it was overcoming all the adversities to becoming a doctor.
Right.
The medical school being closed and the getting separated from the family, and then becoming a single mother, all while trying to get through medical school. That's what I thought it was.
Right.
And
I also don't know, is Lali Ghanaian, or did she just happen to be in Ghana because it says an adventure through 4 continents? Like, it would be interesting to know where you came from.
It would.
So we know where, like, the 4 continents don't actually seem to come into the pitch.
Right.
So it's a little confusing about where they are.
It is.
the story is incredible.
It is incredible.
And it's obviously, you have a lot of story, so it's hard to know how much to put in there. And, but I think we need more of a sense of arc.
Well, I was going to say it seems a bit like a series of episodes
Yes.
that is not building into a narrative.
Yes.
Where in a narrative, things get more fraught and fraught and fraught until there's an explosion and a climax, and it doesn't seem like that happens here.
I agree. But what a story.
It's a great
My
story,
gosh.
though. Yeah, I just feel like the pitch needs to be rejiggered a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. Lost to Follow Up by Adele Blackler. Simone Riley has perfected flying under the radar in her years as a lab technician at Biodesign. While she quietly did her work, she watched her ambitious co-workers ask too many questions of the chief technology officer, Henry Gutter, and be escorted to the door. Now her years of acquiescence have paid off. She receives a coveted promotion just as Biodesign is starting its first human trials and has a lucrative buyout beckoning. Simone should be excited to manage the trial and work with the brilliant Dr. Goddard, who implants the Biodesign brain stimulator in children with cerebral palsy. But her new boss seems to have a pill problem. The nurse who was her conduit for information vanishes, and the patients and evidence keep disappearing. When a patient needs emergency surgery, Simone presses for an investigation into the device. But before the investigation can start, Simone's boss dies under mysterious circumstances, and Simone begins to realize she can't trust anyone. Simone races to prove the device is failing before more sick kids are put on the operating table, but is faced with scared families, company lawyers, and non-disclosure agreements and threats against her own life. As answers elude Simone, one thing becomes perfectly clear. No life is sacred in this trial.
I think this character, we really see her development as kind of like this quiet
little wallflower church
exactly.
mouse. She's standing in the back. She doesn't want to cause problems, and rightfully so, because all of her colleagues as soon as they start to ask questions, they get fired, and she's the last woman standing.
Exactly. So it's nice to see in 250 words someone develop a character.
Yes. Until by the end she's fighting the good fight against the powers that be. It's cool. You really do feel the character, and I'm rooting for her to succeed. I am rooting for Simone to succeed.
Yeah, and I think the whole idea of taking us into the world of clinical trials,
it's cool.
Is a very cool. Is a very cool thing. So this is a case again where I'm not quite feeling. We know that the stakes are very high because everybody's disappearing,
dying, right.
But I'm not really feeling the heart pounding nature of this as I read through the pitch.
I think part of it is some of it descends into very generic language.
Mm-hmm.
But before the investigation can start, Simone's boss dies under mysterious circumstances. How many times have we seen that phrase?
Mm-hmm.
He died under mysterious circumstances. Your brain just kind of turns off a little bit when you see that. I want something there. Her boss dies. Give me something that makes me go, my God, those are mysterious circumstances and very unsettling. Holy moly.
I'm also realizing something, that Simone seems very much alone.
Yeah.
And that could be a good thing to concentrate on, because it's scary when you're in that situation and you're alone.
Yeah.
So is she married? Is she single? Is she what is her situation so that we feel more for her?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else?
I like the pitch. I do. I think there's a book there.
Yeah.
Zara and the Golden Scarab of Balahar by Michael Grayford. 16-year-old Zara spends her days toiling away as the servant in the Sultan's palace, her mind filled with absurd daydreams of marrying Prince Amir. When he requests her as his personal assistant, she thinks it's only a matter of time before he falls for her amazing charm and wit. But then she overhears the Zizier plotting to use a demon's love spell to make the prince fall in love with his daughter. She rushes to stop him and causes the spell to misfire, making the prince fall in love with her instead. Haunted by the furious vizier, Zara flees. The love-struck Amir tracks her down, and his ridiculous fawning makes her realize that love means nothing if it's not real. To prove his feelings are true, Amir suggests they seek the golden scarab of Balihar, a magical treasure holding a genie with the power to grant one's every wish, including breaking a demon's spell. As they hunt for the golden scarab, Zara realizes her wonderful charm won't work on things like giant scorpions, earthborn warriors, or living caves. And when they learn the vizier's demon wants to use the power of Amir's royal blood to enact a vicious plan of revenge, she realizes she'll have to use more than charisma and wishes to save the kingdom and her prince and get her chance at true love.
That's a really well constructed.
It's really good.
Pitch.
There's so many good pitches. And it's also playing off a lot of tropes. And like normally, it's the guy who's doing all the acting out and the chasing and the
right.
Kissing the princess to wake her up. And here it's the female, which I think is lovely.
There's such a great theme here, which is in this sentence, and his ridiculous fawning makes her realize that love means nothing if it's not real. Right. And I think we lose that in the last paragraph. Right. That thread, I want that to be the what we're going after, is that she gets him, then she realizes, oh wait, this is fake. And then she has to, it's a perfect like Disney movie setup that way. So that's my only... I think it's...
Do you think it gets lost with the giant scorpions and the earthworm warriors?
Yeah, and also when she realized she'll have to use more than charisma and wishes to save the kingdom and her prince, because we got tension in this paragraph before, and suddenly the tension is just gone. Right. We need to see that love become real. Yeah.
We need to see. I agree at the end that. Not to actually see it work, but to see that she's going to strip away everything to see if it is really love. Yeah. Right? Isn't that the idea?
Yes.
Without the enchantments, without anything, without the ridiculous fawning. Does she really love this guy, and does he really love her?
Right.
But that is missing at the end.
That's missing at the end. Yeah. The setup is fabulous.
It's great. We don't want the resolution of it, but we want that moment where, okay, you're no longer under the spell. Neither am I. Do you love me? Do I love you?
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
The Eighth Wonder of Pine Mountain by Jenny Murray. There's no doubt about it. The animals of Pine Mountain are acting weird. 11-year-old Maisie Rose is stalked by squirrels, birds, and snakes, all the animals of Pine Mountain, everywhere she goes. They run behind her, swarm her bike, and dart through windows and doors. It's a family curse, the reason she doesn't have friends, and why she's always been homeschooled. When Delray visits... That's a weird...
That comma shouldn't be there.
When Delray visits her family's store, last chance supplies and stuffing, she's different from other kids. She's not bothered by the taxidermied animals that top the store's shelves, and Delray. And he doesn't run away when a bird flies to an open door, crashes, and dies. He even brings a bouquet of corn when he returns for the bird's memorial service. Delray is the friend Maisie Rose has always wanted. Together, they set out to investigate why the animals plague Maisie Rose. If they find the answer, they'll both start 6th grade in town at the end of the summer. But when Maisie Rose discovers that her new friend's father is a real estate developer who plans to cover her mountain in condos, her dreams become as lifeless as her mother's stuffed animals. She must choose between her friend, her desire to go to school, and the animals who live on the mountain. Nice.
That's
so fun.
Really, really fun. It's so unusual, and it feels like it would make the most amazing movie.
It does, doesn't it?
It's so visual.
Yes, it's very visual. Yeah, it is.
And it captures kind of quirky kids.
Yeah, I love that they find each other. These two, quote unquote weirdos find each other. It's really fun.
The Eighth Wonder of Pine Mountain. It's a nice title,
It is a nice title. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing with the guy's father being a developer feels a little bit like a plot point that I've heard.
The which thing?
The father's real estate developer.
Oh, yeah.
It feels a little bit too familiar, you know.
I don't know if to kids though. That's
maybe
case.
not. Yeah, maybe it's not. But the Carl Hyacin book that's set Hoot, I think it's called, is about a developer who's trying to develop the
right. Oh, right. That's
destroy,
true. Actually, Hoot would be a good comp title.
Hoot is a good comp title for this.
I think it's really interesting, and it's very specific and well described. And
well, she's the director of the Duke Middle School too. That is really good for.
So the kids.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think she must choose between her friend, her desire to go to school, and the animals who live on the mountain. This is being very picky at this point, but this is the most common way to end a pitch, is with a sentence like that.
Right.
And I think the pitch is so unique and lovely that you could do something a little more creative than give us the old, it's a choice between blah, blah, blah,
love
blah,
and
blah.
Death
Yeah.
Yes.
And keep the uniqueness of the pitch going until the end.
Yeah.
All right.
The Eagle Order by Judy L. Moore. ER doctor by day, assassin by night. It's a cushy job until she gets the assignment of your life. Should be her life, right? Oh, no, your life. It's a cushy job until you get the assignment of your life. Okay, good. It's another job done as Alexa gets up from the bed of the man she just killed. But when her mark turns out to be the 6th employee of a genetics research firm to die in 3 months, Alexa becomes determined to learn the secrets that truly exist in the Eagle Order, an elite group of assassins selectively bred for the purpose. With rituals and traditions that can kill, assuming you survive to adulthood, and the bodies of pregnant women being disposed in a volcanic sinkhole, things need to change. But the head of the Eagle Order has disappeared, believed to have gone rogue. If Alexa wants answers in her freedom, she must accept what might well be her last mission, to hunt down the rogue and bring her in dead or alive. There's only one problem. The rogue taught Alexa everything she knows about being an eagle. The rogue is her mother. Ooh. Eagle Order is an adult thriller with light science fiction elements, complete at 96,000 words. If Max of Dark Angel fame was to become the next Red Sparrow, the steps she would take to claim her freedom and protect the loved ones would be incalculable.
Well, this pitch displays how you can bring in a surprise twist.
That's a great twist-a-rooney at the end, her mom. Bum, bum, bum.
And shows how you can really tell story in a very short amount of time.
You can really blow the balloon up and then pop it with a pin.
Yeah.
That was really nice. I mean, from the beginning, ER doctor by day, assassin by night. Those juxtapositions are really fun.
Yeah.
What do we need here that we don't have? I don't know, how old
I don't really get her.
Or why she's an assassin, or why she's a doctor. And it doesn't seem to explore the really cool dichotomy of saving lives and ending them. That's a cool thing to explore that I don't see explored here at all. I mean, your job as a doctor is to make people better, and your job as an assassin is to make them worse.
Yeah.
I would like to see more of that, because, I mean, this feels like a Netflix series, like waiting to happen. A doctor, an assassin, a doctor. It's a great role for Jodie Comer from Killing Eve.
Yeah,
it really is. So there's definitely something so cool about this. I don't really get a sense of how she kills people either. I feel like there needs to be more details about her, her job.
I agree. I think the title is a great title, The Eagle Order.
I love the title.
It's really excellent.
And I love the switcheroo at the end.
Yeah, that is great. I think you're actually short of 250 words, and that we just need a little more juice in there.
The Secrets of Tangu by Evergreen Lee. I love that name, Evergreen.
That is a great name.
The Secrets of Tangu, completed at 100.
Tangu.
What did I say?
Tangu.
The Secrets of Tangu, complete at 105,000 words, is spinning silver meets the kiss quotient. Lisa is an autistic college student with a 20-year plan and a determination to prove her birth parents wrong, that she is worth something. She's also a witch, despite being too logical to believe in magic and occasionally cast spells without knowing it. When Lisa heals a bird, her magic attracts the attention of two tangu, a race of supernatural avian humanoids. The tangu are drawn to her adoptive sister, Kestrel, and realize that Kestrel is one of them. The Tangu Dorian uses glamour to force Kestrel through a dangerous transformation ritual, then whisks her away. Lisa gives up the life she's rebuilt and begs Tangu Eric to bring her to his world. Once there, she must learn to use her magical powers, avoid falling in love with Eric, and determine if Kestrel even wants to be rescued. Can Lisa prove her worth in a world where any human is considered expendable? This is an #own voices story, in that Lisa has a form of Asperger's based on my own.
So I love the own voices angle of this pitch. And I think the first, not the line about how many words it is, but Lisa's an autistic college student with a 20-year plan and determination to prove her birth parents wrong, that she is worth something.
No, it's great.
And the fact that this is a world where any human is considered expendable, it's a great twist.
Yes.
On
stakes high.
Yeah. So that I think is all excellent. I find it hard to follow the pitch.
Me too, a little bit. I don't know what a tangu is still, and I just read through the whole pitch. I don't know what glamour uses glamour to force.
Oh, I just want to say one other thing I love. She's also a witch despite being too logical to believe in magic and occasionally cast spells without knowing it. We really get a sense of the character in this first paragraph in such a nice way. But then we have a bird. It's just like a lot of stuff coming. Bird, tangu, Tangu Dorian. I don't know what that means. Uses glamour with a capital G. So we're introduced to so many different things that we don't know what they are.
Yes, I agree. And what's interesting is you don't really use the autistic. You mentioned that she's autistic at the beginning, and it never is manifest in anything in this pitch. Is she able to? Is her autism? Is it a benefit? Is it a detriment? Is it neither? Is it both? But it's just weird that it's dropped in and never mentioned again. It's like it's part of the story, but then it's and because you mentioned it, it's the third word in the pitch. We think that it's going to have enormous import, and then it's not mentioned again. Is that?
Also, I just looked something up because people obviously know what a tangu is and we don't. So it's a mythical Japanese creature. So that is very cool. But seeing that we don't know what that is, that maybe it wouldn't be a problem if you're sending to
pitching
fantasy,
it to somebody who
knows.
Tangu Press.
No, but I mean, people in the fantasy world might be more aware of the vast mythical creatures out there that you and I might not be as aware of.
Yeah, totally.
That said, there's also a chance that people won't, in which case you read this thinking you just made up that name and we don't know what it is. So just to put it out there that there may or may not be people who know what a tangu is, but I think that's very cool to use an ancient Japanese mythical creature.
Totally. There's some noise going around about word count also. 105,000 words is too long.
Not for
this kind of book.
Category.
We just did a video about this yesterday. It's not even up yet about word count. And there's certain genres and certain little fiefdoms within genres where it's perfectly acceptable to have a book of 150,000 words even.
Absolutely.
And this is one of those categories where it's
you're good
taking us on a fantasy journey to a land far, far away. That's one of the categories of historical fiction, sometimes a sci-fi, where a big, huge doorstopper book is just what the doctor ordered.
Yeah. Okay.
The Exchange by Dominique Joly. Hunting Valley Middle School is cursed. Every 7th grader is doomed to trade in their personality for their exact opposite. That's really cool. Teachers' pets are smoking, outgoing kids have stage fright, and best friends Fiona and Zara are thrust into a world of exclusive parties and boys. While Fiona can barely speak to her crush, Zara is thriving. The more Zara cancels plans and forgets to coordinate outfits, the more Fiona fears that she's destined for a human recycling bin. Fiona decides that the only way to save their friendship from the exchange is to sabotage Zara's personality. Sometimes to be the hero, you have to play the bad guy.
Oh, wait, you didn't get that.
Lizzie McGuire meets the Click in this 32,766 word middle grade fiction about growing up and sometimes growing apart.
This has movie written all over it. It's like a
the big high concept where you have to change personalities.
And you have the two best friends and it all goes wrong and how are they going to get back together and everything. So this is like, this is a plot that's going to satisfy. It has almost like the Jane Austen, not that Jane Austen would be having magical switching of characters, but you get that satisfying feeling of a Jane Austen plot in something like this.
Yes.
So that is fantastic. The thing that is missing for me is what were the girls' personalities before they got switched?
Right,
we have no idea who. We need to see them before, maybe even before the Middle Valley Middle School.
It's such a great opening line.
It is.
It is.
So maybe every 7th grader is doomed to train their personality for their exact opposite. Teachers' pets are smoking, outgoing kids, and best friends are thrust into a world of exclusive party and boys. Fiona, who's never talked to a boy before, and Zara, or whatever it is.
Yes.
I think that could
Zara,
be...
who gets the hives when her crush looks at her. That's half a sentence, and that's enough.
And I don't think this is anywhere near 250 words.
No.
So actually, you have plenty of room here to come in and add 2 sentences.
Yeah, I don't understand
kids.
what the exchange is.
What?
Zara decides the only way to save their friendship from the exchange.
That's the title. That's what happens in the school.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a sabotage. I'd like a couple more details that play out about. I mean, she says they're going to sabotage the popularity. I would like a little more details because you do have more time about how the plot is going to manifest with a couple of pieces of action.
Yeah, but it's
really good. No,
dreamy, the
really
high
good.
concept
Totally
of this.
Absolutely. Well done. Across the Sea by Jenny Paltiel. Instead of finishing her senior year of high school in Kansas, Ellie is risking the trip across an Atlantic already at war to join her missionary father in Africa. August is a Boston Brahmin taking a break from Harvard to chase adventure as a volunteer ambulance driver in the war in North Africa like his hero, Ernest Hemingway. Thrown together on board the Egyptian passenger liner Zamzam. That's a great name. Ellie finds herself drawn to the dashing August despite their different backgrounds and her family's disapproval as conflict brews between the pious missionaries and the boisterous ambulance corps. But unbeknownst to most of its passengers, the Zamzam is actually transporting supplies to the Allied forces in North Africa. When their supposedly neutral ship is sunk by a notorious German raider, Ellie and August find themselves facing a far greater danger than a disapproving mother. Plucked from the ocean, stashed on a German prison ship, and forced to run the British blockade to reach land, the couple is ultimately separated in occupied France as Ellie is shipped back to the United States while August remains a German prisoner. Do they stand a chance of being reunited? Based on true events from the author's family history that grabbed headlines in 1941, Across the Sea blends the Nightingale's wartime adventures with a sweet travel-inspired YA love story reminiscent of field notes on love and moments of surprising humor as experiences force Ellie to grow up fast and question her sheltered upbringing and what she wants. from life.
What an interesting
Woo!
story. And I love that it's based on the author's family because
history.
that's a great publicity hook in the end.
Sure.
So it's fascinating, and you get a slice of history through this wonderful
love story.
Love story. Yeah, and that's always really a nice way for kids to enter.
Absolutely.
For kids to enter history. The question is, it is YA. Okay, so she's 17, I'm assuming, which is perfect.
Last year of high school.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. And they're from very different places. That's great. The Kansas versus the Boston Brahmin. So what to make this better?
I'll tell you what I didn't get a sense of.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the ship is sunk. Now, I've seen lots of movies where ships get sunk, and it's a very exciting and interesting thing.
Yeah.
But as it's presented here, it doesn't even, it's just like a blip. Oh, yeah, the ship sunk. But, I mean, you got to show us that you are capable of writing about a ship sinking, because I'm not getting it here. And plucked from the ocean, stashed on a German. What's it like to be stranded in the ocean with the boy that you might be falling in love with or already in love with? I don't get a sense of that. I mean, it must be horrifying, but it doesn't register as horrifying here. On a German prison ship, what is that like? Just like a phrase, a word, something that shows us you can capture that sense of despair at being in the middle of the ocean, or raw, rank fear as the Germans take you on their prison ship. The British blockade. I mean, there's so much cool stuff in here, and I feel like it goes by a little too fast. And there's things you can take out.
That's what I think too.
Like, for instance, the conflict brews between the pious missionaries and the boisterous ambulance crew. Well, I'm not invested in any of these people. Why do I need to know about that? It never goes anywhere.
Yeah.
So you can just take it right out and use it to show us how you can capture those terrible things that are happening a little better.
That's what I want too.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Great job. The last pitch, people.
Oh my God, this is the last pitch? Holy bajoli. Madam Mayhem by Marilyn Rockelman. What do a decoy prostitute, bank robber's wife, swinger, Madam Mayhem, and police dispatcher have in common? Me. That's the writer, not me. The steamy underbelly of Salt Lake City in the gasp and drop-dead years of the 70s and 80s is the backdrop of my memoir. In my various public personas, I got the inside scoop on Congressman Alan Howe, Ted Bundy, and Gary Gilmore. Working with the masculinized Salt Lake City Police Department, I arrested Johns and sometimes the women they victimized. I heard firsthand when the prophet of Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Mormons, got the revelation that righteous men of color could hold the priesthood. I suffered, as did all first responders in the aftermath of the Dewdrop Inn. I learned about bottomless popcorn and what a Mormon temple recommend was really for. In my personal life, I struggled with being adopted. Dirty little secrets crawled beneath my skin, and like Madam Mayhem, my life spun out of control. My first marriage to a squeaky clean Mormon missionary police officer ended in a nightmare when I discovered he wanted to use me as trading material in his swingers group. Yikes. My second husband was a convicted bank robber. Of course. Through it all, I discovered truths about myself, truths that took me into the depths of my soul, to the arms of Jesus and the depths of hell. Secrets uncovered became secrets forgiven. Come with me on the wild and wacky ride of my life.
That does sound like a wild and wacky ride. That said, I don't think you need that last line.
You've already shown us.
Because you've proven it to us.
Wild and wacky.
And there's so many amazing... First of all, the first line is fantastic.
Yeah.
What do all these things have in common? Me. Here's the issue with writing a pitch like this.
Yeah.
Is that it's a series of lists rather than a story.
Yep.
And is great as this list is, it's really amazing, is that we don't actually get a sense of character evolution. You have to sum it up for us in a pretty little bow at the end, and really we should see it throughout the pitch.
But you start as a person who has these characteristics, and you end as someone who has a whole different set of characteristics.
And you'd obviously have to lose some of the details in here. Like, I don't think you needed that you were there on the revelation that righteous men of color could hold the priesthood. That's a fascinating moment in history.
Like,
but what is
book.
it? Why is it? If it's so important to you, why? Because we don't know. So that I think is the next phase of this pitch. Is the stuff that you say at the end about this, you starting one person and coming another. We need to see that throughout
the pitch. And just for everybody who's writing a memoir has to have a plot too.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult to take these seemingly random events that happen in your life and make a plot out of it, beginning, middle, end. And I haven't quite, we haven't quite got there. And I don't know what the dewdrop in is. Do you know what the aftermath of the dewdrop in is?
I know that was some famous thing, but I can't recall what it was.
Well, if you're not from Salt Lake City, you might not know.
You might not know it. Yeah. Well,
okay, let's have a big round of applause.
Woo for everybody! Woohoo!
All right, I'm supposed to say something after. So Arielle's going to go through these and pick a winner. And I'm going to. Okay, let's talk about the fan favorites, okay? So we have a fan favorite that we have. The fan favorite voting begins tomorrow and runs through March 31st, 11:59 p.m. Visit our website, www.thebookdoctors.com, to vote. Like I say in all the elections, vote early and vote often. Okay, let's see. If you want to get info on getting published and opportunities to pitch to us, remember to join our newsletter. We send a newsletter out. There's always interesting interviews and success stories and all that stuff. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Did I say?
Did we say
and share?
that?
Did we say
Did
subscribe?
We subscribe?
Did we say subscribe?
I don't know
subscribe
if we did.
to our. I don't think we did say subscribe to our YouTube channel, but you totally should. Okay. Keep writing during the Camp NaNoWriMo in April. Okay. How to get live? How to go live? Oh no, that's for us. Never mind. Okay, I think.
All right, we're going to go on to questions in a second. I'm going to say a few things for a moment while David does that. So, Christy has been emailing us throughout this whole session.
What am I doing?
With questions that people have, and we are going to answer those momentarily. I'm just looking at them for a second. And I think Christy is also answering. I see questions about like, are the pitches going to be put up? And they are. So you can read them again. And I am going to start with question number 1. David is just reviewing the pitches for a second. Then I'm going to go back to that, and then we'll announce the winner. But I'm going to answer some questions. So what is the difference between pitch, outline, and other important things to consider? So a pitch is the thing that you see on the back or flaps of a book, and that are, if you're on an online site, which the description of the book itself. The pitch is then used in a query letter to an agent or publisher, often with some kind of introductory paragraph. I met you at X conference, or I saw you agent X book. And also it includes your bio if you're writing a query letter. But the pitch is just that descriptor that goes on the back or flaps of a book. The outline. Do you want to add to that before I go
Yeah, it's the pitch when somebody asks you, so what's your book about? It's the minute you have to describe what your book about. That's your pitch.
Okay. So the outline is something completely different. An outline, like a chapter outline, is literally you have chapter 1 and then you have a paragraph or 2 or 3 that describes what happens in that chapter of the book. And that is typically only used for nonfiction. Now, a summary of the book is something else altogether different.
Yeah, a summary is can be anywhere from a page to 5 pages to 10 pages long. And it really is like we meet our characters as they enter the building of the FBI, and then they do this, and then they do that, and then the other thing happens, and the other things happen. It takes you through the story in prose form as opposed to outline form, from beginning through middle, through the end.
Okay. Next question I'm going to let you take as I just do this. Do a final read
In a pitch,
here.
should all the main characters be mentioned, or should we write about the story itself with only the most important characters getting a mention? Okay, that's a good question, because let's say that you've written a story like Game of Thrones that has 12 main characters. Well, you can't mention 12 main characters in a pitch, can you? So what we suggest people do is focus on one character to be our hero. Like in the Game of Thrones, they chose to mention the Stark family, which is only one of the main characters, but they especially at the beginning of the whole series, that's who we focus on most. So we dial down into those characters. And you don't really want to delve too deep into more than 2 or 3 characters at the most, because you just don't have time to do that. So if you have a story with a lot of characters, pick, if you have love interests, pick those 2, and then a villain. That's really about all the characters you have time for, and make sure that you give us enough sense of the specifics of the story and the specifics of the character.
Okay, we have a winner, people. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready? The winner is The Eighth Wonder of Pine Mountain by Jenny Murray. Woo!
It's about the animals, right?
This is the pitch about the kids and the animals. And it was had such beautiful language, a great sense of plot and arc and characters. And there was really very little that needed to be done with this pitch whatsoever. It's ready to go. Yeah. So congratulations to Jenny. We will continue to answer some more questions.
A summary is very similar to a synopsis, I would say.
Yes.
They're basically interchangeable.
Yeah.
Is fan favorite voting limited to the 20 pitches selected?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so did you go through these?
No, I just did the next one.
All right. Did you do that?
I just did that, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. At what point does your trope become cliche in a pitch?
At the point where we shake our head and go, oh, God, I've seen that too many goddamn times.
So we say this thing all the time, that your pitch has to be familiar but different.
Unique.
And in that Venn diagram of familiar and unique, you have to hit this sweet spot in the center, which for every single person is different.
And every genre is different also.
And every genre is different. But I mean for every person reading it.
Yes, and that's right. That's right. It's like saying, what makes a guy hot? Right. Well, I mean, what makes him a cliche?
Right.
A bow tie. I find it super hot. When a guy's in a bow tie, man, I can't keep my hands off him.
Right. Right.
I hate bow ties. Every guy who wears a bow tie is a dork.
Yeah. So, but there are certain things that people tend to agree on.
Yes. A beautiful princess is almost certainly going to be a cliche.
Yeah. Yeah.
A handsome, dark, tall, handsome stranger. A dangerous villain. An evil villain. All those things we've heard so many times before.
Exactly. Okay, so that was that. Okay. Can you give us an idea of whether the pitch should be more character or story driven?
Yes. It should be. Totally got that.
That's the thing. Is that wonderful balance between letting us know who your characters are and at the same time also giving us a sense of the arc of your story. And that's why writing a pitch is so hard. That's why we have jobs. Because if it was easy, no one would ask us to help them with their pitch.
And honestly, it's the same as a book. How much of your book is about your character and how much is about the story? It's hard to say what that exact What's the equation? How much of one of how much of the other? It's impossible to say, and every story is different. But when you read it, you can feel it. I don't know who these characters are. There's too much stuff, background information, or there's too many crazy things going on. And if you spend 4 pages discussing the freckles on a guy's nose, you probably too much character.
Exactly. Okay. So can you say more about how to research the correct word count for your genre? We just did a video about this,
that earlier,
and it hasn't been posted yet. It'll be posted next week. But one of the really interesting things in the video, I just completely lost my train of thought, but I got it back.
Wow.
I got it back.
Well, you saw it all witness. This was live. This just happened live. That was not rehearsed.
Okay, so there are a number of ways. On the video we're going to post next week, for anyone who's writing any kind of children's book, YA, middle grade, picture book, whatever, we are going to post the best blog post by agent Jen Laffren about what the boundaries for each category are. And it is fantastic. For adult books, this is literally what we do.
Yeah.
Word count, thriller, Google search. And then you're going to get to all different blogs by all different experts saying the various ranges of what it should be for thriller. And they're going to vary a little bit, but you're going to see a median word count, and then you're going to know how far too low or too high you are with that book.
Cookbook, memoir, cozy mystery. They all have their own special word counts and such. Okay,
so that's word count. Will you say more about including your bio in a memoir pitch? So I think we should talk about bio, period.
Yes,
in any
totally.
pitch, because it actually doesn't matter whether it's a memoir or a novel or anything. So bios are hugely important because they establish, number one, if you have the expertise to write the book, and that can mean 2 things. That can mean you're a professional writer and you've written books or had things published, or it can mean, for example, that you're in biotech and you're writing a thriller about biotech.
Or you're in epidemiology and you're writing a story with an epidemic in it, as we've just seen.
Exactly. Or you can have something really funny that just shows that you can write, like, I ended my bikini model career in kindergarten.
At age 5.
Yeah. So memoir is very, very similar to fiction. There's really not a difference. Now, if you're writing a memoir about being a nun, we might want to know what rank you rose to in the Catholic Church.
Ranks like a sergeant?
Oh,
nun?
I don't know. Maybe not.
General nun?
I felt like they're
Corporal nun? Does anyone know out there?
Nuns
are there rankings of nuns
that are in very high positions in the church?
Are there though?
Okay,
don't even know.
Can someone say whether or not that's true? Okay, let's use a different example. Is this from
your example of your experience with all the Jewish nuns?
Yeah. If your memoir is about being in the Navy,
okay,
then we might want to know what rank you had in the Navy.
Yes, right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right. Now, how does a pitch for a literary novel differ from a high concept or plot-centric novel? That is an excellent question that I like very much.
Yeah, it is.
So the difference for the pitch is the difference between those 2 genres, period.
The literary pitch has to be literary.
The quality of the writing.
Beautiful words.
Beautiful
poetry.
words, the poetry. We say this thing, a pitch is like a poem, and every word counts. Now, with a literary novel,
it's like a haiku.
Exactly.
With 250 words instead of 24 words or whatever is in a haiku.
Yeah. So the beauty of the pitch, whereas if you're writing sci-fi or thriller, it is more plot driven than the actual words. Although, as we have seen today, specificity is important no matter what.
Right.
Yeah. I think those were the last questions that we had.
Wait a minute. Someone just You two are great. Thank you very much.
Thank
Let's
you.
end on
That's
that. That's a good ending. We are great.
We so appreciate you all. Thank you to
No,
Christy.
you guys are great. You
guys are
Christy's
great.
great. You are great.
Thank you all for spending
Amazing
this
pitches.
bizarre Saturday with us.
And I hope everyone's well
And
stays well.
Stay tuned for our free webinar where you can ask any question you want. For those of you who did buy books, and you can still buy a book and send it with the receipt to us, and then you can be part of a free free webinar where we read your pitch out loud and critique it. And our book is called The Essential Guide to Getting Your Book Published. So it actually will be helpful to you in getting your book published.
By the way, just for you, any of you on tenterhooks, not tender, tenterhooks.
Tenterhooks.
There's no ranking amongst the nuns. There's a mother superior, and then all of the lowly.
I think we'll say goodnight on that.
The lowly nuns below.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody. See you at the bookstore.
See you at the bookstore.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.